Good evening and welcome back to Sports Talk ATL. I am Chase Earl, joined by Alex Lord and Jake Gordon. The Atlanta Falcons. This was supposed to be a snooze fest. The over-under was set at 35. It was supposed to be a battle of all these defenses between 3 weeks ago. This was Ryan Tannehill versus Desmond Ridder. Turned out, obviously, we found out Will Levis was going to get his first start. I think I speak for everyone, and not just everyone who was talking about this game, everyone who ever talked anything about Will Levis. We way underestimated what this guy could potentially do at this level. That guy was a stud. We'll talk more about him later, and maybe why did the Falcons not draft someone like that? Because the biggest issue here with the Falcons, and this is going to be at the forefront of the conversation for the rest of the season every week, especially if Desmond Ridder underperforms, is who should be the starting quarterback in Atlanta. Now, Arthur Smith said after the game, it still sounded like he was hinting towards Desmond Ridder being the starter. Maybe he hadn't had enough time to think. I don't know if he's made that decision yet. It seemed like he already has, but he gets removed for concussion protocol. Taylor Heinicke comes in, and not only is he more effective, 12 of 21 for 171 yards and a touchdown. This offense it just looked like I looked like I was watching a different game of football. And I admit it. I think Desmond Ridder has shown progress as a passer each week. But what I saw in one half from Taylor Heinicke, and I know that might have been a great half for his standards, that was a different offense on the field than we've seen every other half of football from the Atlanta Falcons this season. And now Pandora's box has been opened because we didn't really know for sure what the Falcons had in Taylor Heinicke, what this offense would look like with him. Now everybody knows. So anytime Desmond Ridder makes a mistake or has one of those critical turnovers or takes a longer sack or whatever, it's going to be like, hey, man, we got this guy on this backup. That is a clearly better option for the Falcons to win games right now.
Yeah, hang on real quick. Can I get my I told you so's in? Because I didn't have to see him to know. I've been saying all year, put this guy in. He gives you a better chance to win games. Yeah, he's not the quarterback of the future, but who cares? He's the quarterback for right now. Like I said, he's gone toe-to-toe with Tom Brady in a playoff game. I just don't know why we wasted all this time. We've seen what we could have had. This is not a 4-4 team. I don't care about, Desmond Ridder, well, he was the last 2 weeks, he's top 10 in passing yards. He's bad. He's not good. And everybody said, he was evaluated for a concussion. That's a lie. He got benched. He's terrible. Just awful. Oh my gosh. Watching this offense with Taylor Heinicke is just night and day. I do not ever want to see Desmond Ridder quarterback this team again, but it looks like that they're going back to him, which is probably the stupidest thing you can do. Is if you're going to bench him, then just bench him. But it looks like they're just going to,
Yeah, it's hard to differentiate between this is what the Falcons are doing, for better or worse. I'm not saying I agree with it, but the decision they have is to either stick with the guy that Arthur Smith has clearly hitched his wagon to because they believe he can be an NFL caliber quarterback in the long term. Whether you believe that or not, that's what they're mulling over. They stick with that guy or the guy that clearly we know what Taylor Heinicke is. We know what he can do and can't do. He's bound to throw a couple of backbreaking interceptions as well. I do want to, let's not declare Taylor Heinicke the long-term answer. And I don't think Jake is doing that by any means, but I certainly see some Falcons fans thinking that, Taylor Heinicke is the answer. That fourth down conversion that Van Jefferson dropped was the worst thing worst thing that happened to Falcons fans because we're left empty-handed. Now everybody just thinks Taylor Heinicke was going to lead a touchdown drive. And it's certainly plausible that he was because I agree with both of you. The offense from the second half was not the same offense we've seen all year long, not even just the first half. But that's not to say that he wasn't going to throw a backbreaking interception because the guy isn't just some conservative thrower. The guy slings it. And, for better or worse, that's what the Falcons have in both Desmond Ridder and Taylor Heinicke.
No, go ahead.
Go ahead. The notion basically that the Falcons are either going to have to stick with a guy who is actively worse than their backup in hopes that he is the answer long-term is a terrible place to be for the Falcons, the state of the franchise, the veterans on the team. I talked to Chase about this earlier. Let me just, throw this out there. You're Calais Campbell or any veteran for that matter on this team, offense or defense. It doesn't matter. Jonnu Smith. And you just watched Taylor Heinicke nearly lead a comeback, an improbable comeback, and then your head coach goes up there. Hell, Taylor Heinicke went up there and said, this is Desmond Ridder's team. What are you thinking? You're like, guys, are we watching the same game? How are we actively trying to lose games with Desmond Ridder when Taylor Heinicke's there? These guys are humans, and I know that they're saying all the right things at the podium to the media. They're saying all the right things, coach speak and whatnot, Desmond Ridder, yeah. But they're humans. And they are thinking the same thing fans are. In fact, they're probably thinking it in a more harsh reality because they see it in practice. They see it in the locker room. They see everything that we don't see. So I have a hard time believing that this defense in particular isn't asking themselves the same exact question we are, is what the hell are we doing with Desmond?
Yeah, I've said this multiple times. Just you talk about, Taylor Heinicke, he's bound to throw a back-breaking interception. Yeah, well, at least we'll be in a position to have our back broken. Like, oh my gosh, like Desmond Ridder, that offense it was so hard to watch. And yeah, no, I completely agree with, everybody talks about, he could be the future. We're developing him. He's the future. He's not good. Developing him into what? A bad quarterback? He's not good. Like, oh my gosh, people have such thick skulls when it comes to Desmond Ridder. I don't know why they defend this kid like he's their daddy or something. He's bad. Like, let's just move on.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not as down on Desmond Ridder as you are, Jake. I mean, like I said, even coming into the week, I thought he's made significant progress. I think that's undeniable over the last 3 weeks. And I understand and I agree with that. I mean, that is really the situation that the Falcons have that Alex just mentioned. It's going to be, what are you trying to groom this guy for the future? My whole thing is like, where I agree with you, Jake, is even if Desmond Ridder reaches his ceiling or his true potential, is it that much better than Taylor Heinicke right now? That's the real question. That's the real question.
For the Falcons to win, he has to play his absolute best, and he plays not his absolute best more often than not.
Well, the fact of the matter is we're talking about this offense, being good enough to just all you got to do is be a game manager and don't turn over the ball. The defense was going to be good enough with the supporting cast on the offensive side that we didn't need, elite quarterback play. We just needed not turnover. I mean, Desmond Ridder is turning the ball over at a rate
13 turnovers in
you would be mixed in any
half
other
a game
scenario.
Half a game, by the way, for yesterday. 13 turnovers in 8
And
starts.
I saw somebody bring up a stat about fumbles lost in terms of a fumbles lost rate from Cincinnati that was unsustainable, and it's just continued in the NFL. And I know
we've seen how many interceptions he's had dropped too, by the way.
Yeah, we mentioned that these were turnovers that you could clean up, and some of them are absolutely turnovers that you won't ever make again. Like the going into the end zone, that's one he'll never make again. But just taking sacks in the pocket and not being able to hold on the ball is a legitimate problem and is a legitimate thing that he has to work on. And he's still doing it. It's crazy
he's
amount
of problem with this at Cincinnati. He's had a fumbling problem since Cincinnati. Yeah, this is not going to get fixed. If you think this is still fixable, it's not. I can tell you that right now.
Well, the thing is they better figure it out and figure it out quick because like I mentioned earlier, there's only so much that your teammates can go up to the podium and say without clearly lying. He's got to be losing some trust, some confidence in that locker room. There's no way that he still has the same confidence from Calais Campbell, Bud Dupree, Caden Ellis, Jesse Bates, AJ Terrell. You're telling me they still have confidence in this guy after seeing what Taylor Heinicke did? You're lying to yourself. And I don't care what they say at the podium. They're great. They've been coached up what to say, what not to say. But they are saying something completely different behind the scenes to their wives, to their friends, to each other without Ridder in the room. There's no way they have the same confidence in Ridder as they did week one. There's no way.
Yeah, and I hate to rag on him because he does seem like a nice kid. And like he's, but at the end of the day, it's just such a visceral reaction to the opposition of these people that act like he's the next coming of Jesus Christ. Like it blows my mind.
Yeah,
This isn't business. You want a friend, get a dog. This is business. You're a quarterback in the NFL.
Can I cut this off? We got to go to the next segment. We're going to keep talking about this.